on that. Thank you. Yield back my time.
Thank you. Congressman Van Orden, you're up.
Mr. Secretary, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. I also appreciate you hosting my ranking member, Mr. Levin, in your office. Is fantastic. I do want to make some comments referencing some remarks that were made earlier. I will remind my colleagues on this committee that there are several of us who have deployed repeatedly to combat, understanding that we could be killed and leave our wives widows and our children without fathers, that we have been to many funerals, and 3 of us have pounded our naval special warfare devices into several people's coffins and then buried them, and then got on our knees and looked at their fatherless children in the eye. So for anyone to imply that we do not understand the consequences of what we're talking about in relationship to service members' children is either ill-informed or disingenuous. So I echo the comments of the chairman of this committee that we will not tolerate that. We know what we're doing and we care deeply about what we are saying. And I would appreciate it if everyone would remember that. Mr. Secretary, I am the chairman of a subcommittee that deals with the transition from being an active duty service member to a veteran. Many people do not understand that that process takes a millisecond. On Monday, you are an active duty service member. On a Tuesday, you're a veteran. During that period of time, you lose your uniform, you lose a sense of purpose, you lose a rank, a title, and that's when our servicemen and women kill themselves. It's my #1 legislative priority. My ranking member, Mr. Levin, I'm incredibly proud to serve with. His legislative priority is veterans' homelessness. We're doing this together. What I have found is that the problem is not with your organization. The problem is with the Department of Defense. Because when we try to work out our transition assistance programs, they feel like we're trying to get people to retire from the military early. I knew when it was time to retire. Morgan, you're medically retired. Eli was only in the military for about 20 minutes, I guess. I have boots that served longer than you, pal. Make sure that's clear. But we knew when it was time to retire. So we're not making people retire from the military. We want to make sure that we transition from being a productive member of the military to a productive member of society. So I want to ask you, what is your relationship with the Secretary of Defense? Because you guys sit at the same table.
Yeah.
I mean, do you talk to Lloyd? I'm going to call him Lloyd. You know why? Because I'm in Congress now.
Yeah.
Do you talk to Lloyd often?
Yeah, I do. Thank you for the question. I'm also glad to know that somebody up here will understand my accent when I hear yours.
He's from Stillwater, Minnesota.
Yeah, that's right. He's a
you.
cheese eater.
Yeah.
Although born in Minnesota.
Of course. To my shame.
I talk a lot with Lloyd about this question.
Okay.
So he and I have spent a lot of time together, including on things that, over the last 15 years and things that you guys were all involved in too. I think, and yesterday's event at the Pentagon, where we actually had a claims clinic, where we had toxic exposure screenings, we had 1,200 Pentagon personnel engage with us, a VA component, about the PACT Act, about toxic exposure screenings, is evidence of that he not only supports this, but welcomed us into the Pentagon to have these conversations.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask for your help.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask for your help with the Secretary of Defense so that me and my ranking member, Levin, can get in there to talk to these folks, explain to them that we're not trying to diminish the military, we're trying to make our country better. So I'm going to ask you to help facilitate that.
Yeah.
And if we can all sit down together to get this done,
Yeah.
the country's going to be better.
Yeah.
Can you do that, sir?
I can. You know he was Army.
I know.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, listen, yes, in a show of bipartisanship, I'll work with someone from the Army.
Okay.
All right? With that, I yield back.
Thank you. Congressman Mervan?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us today. And I